Films and fermentation, movies and inebriation. With films and fermentation, comedy mixed with tasty libation. Films and fermentation, with Leo, KEVMAN, and Mike.
One, two, three.
Yeah, stop that. That needs to play from the beginning. Here we go. Hit 'em high and watch the Eagles fly. Eagles fly on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-A-E-O. Make sure you spell it right, not like the mayor.
Yeah, come on.
So, everybody, welcome to Films and Fermentation, episode 183. This is going to be a very, very niche episode tonight. Tonight's episode is titled E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles, because
Go Birds!
In case you haven't heard us say it before on the show, Kevin and I both grew up in the Philadelphia area. We live in Jersey now, but we're still Philadelphia fans. Mike is a transplant to the Philadelphia area, but has always been an Eagles fan. And so we are celebrating the Eagles Super Bowl 59 victory this past weekend with this very niche episode where we're going to talk about all things Philadelphia Eagles in movies. Now, if you're wondering, would we do this for the Cowboys or the Giants or the Commanders or the Patriots or any of those other teams? Fuck no. We are from Philadelphia.
Hell no.
We would not do that. I mean, I do like the Little Giants, but that would be talked about in other aspects, I think.
Yeah.
Once again, we are Films of Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast, #1 pop culture, and #1 beer podcast on Good Pods. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. In this episode, we're flying high with films about the Philadelphia Eagles, the only team whose fan base confidently chants, "No one likes us and we don't care." From underdog triumphs to real-life gridiron glory, these movies capture the passion, pain, and plenty of cheesesteaks along the way. So grab a cold one and your favorite green jersey because we're breaking down cinematic highlights of the Birds. Go Birds. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles, Super Bowl champions. Don't forget to drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. If you haven't seen it already on social media, I have been posting a lot about how I'm looking to do a mailbag episode somewhere down the line where we read some viewer and listener questions and comments and such. And we've had a few submissions so far. I'd like to, have a nice little bag full of submissions that we can talk about in that later episode. So please make sure you send your information to those.
What?
What's that?
You want to be teabagged? What?
I said mailbag.
Oh, okay.
I said mailbag. Oh. Mailbag's different. That's where you rub your ass in their face and not your balls.
Ah.
So become part of the Films. Yeah, by the way, we're on the Pod Nation Network. I'm sure they want to be
like
a part
our
of this.
classy content. Be sure to
I'm
check out.
Sure they want to be a part of this conversation. So yeah, as I said, we are now part.
Boys.
We are part of the Pod Nation Media Network on Roku. So you can check us out there. We are an independent podcast, which means we are listener supported. So please consider joining our Patreon for as little as $1 a month to receive members only content. That's right, for $1 a month. Mike will call you up and sing the Eagles fight song for you.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Don't give it away for free.
Just give them a little.
You can go to patreon.com/filmsandfermentation to join or purchase our merchandise at teespring.com. You can also text us at 904-867-4466. All right. So what are we drinking tonight, gentlemen? I'm going to go first this time. I don't usually go first, so I was going to finish off what was left of the Philadelphia Eagles champagne that we popped open at the Super Bowl party at my house the other night. But then I lifted up the bottle and realized it was empty, and apparently 6 glasses of champagne is all you get out of this bottle, since all 6 of us that were at that party had champagne that night.
Okay.
So I had to curveball it a little bit, and instead I am drinking Bird Gang Bourbon.
Hey.
Bird Gang Bourbon Whiskey, crafted and bottled in Philadelphia. It is 86 proof, which is 43% alcohol by volume. And it is an American straight bourbon whiskey. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Mike, you're also drinking the Bird Gang Bourbon, I'm assuming?
Oh, yes, I am.
I think you're the one who gave me the Bird Gang Bourbon.
Yeah, I think I bought your birthday or something.
Yeah. Kev, what do you got going on?
I am drinking from Eclipse Brewing. I brought this over and I realized afterwards that nobody would like this but me. It is the Hack Porter from Eclipse Brewery. The Hack, HACC, stands for Honey Almond Coconut Chocolate Porter.
Yeah,
It
you
is
lost
a
me at honey,
9%.
almond, and coconut.
It's 9% alcohol by volume. This is a Kevin only beer since no one in this house will touch it. No one in your houses will touch it. So, hold on. I need to. And then no, hold on. I got a Crowler. It's been a while since I've had to. Oh yeah. Oh, that's it.
Speaking of oddly tasting fruits, I got Skittles from Temu.
Why
So,
are the ones in the United States just a little too expensive?
Well, the thing is, you know how Temu is like if you go on, you buy a couple things, you can get like 10 items for free.
I have no idea how Temu is.
Temu is like one of those things like you can buy like you buy 2 or 3 items and then you'll get like 10 items for free. You know, so I always like pick up things like printer spools for the 3D printers at school and things like that like I could get for like free from there. They had Skittles on there recently. And I'm like, free packs of Skittles. Cool. I love Skittles. They came in the other day. They're Korean.
Mm-hmm.
The bags of Skittles are written in Korean, so I don't know what the flavors are. It looks like fruit. So I opened it up today and popped them in my mouth, and they are coconut. Because apparently in Korea, they like coconut Skittles.
Leo,
like, this
coconut.
This is not enjoyable.
I will have you know that this is enjoyable. This tastes like an Almond Joy.
Again, not something I would know because I don't like almonds. I don't like coconuts. So. Anyway, to move things along here tonight, let's go to our next segment.
Moving right along.
This week in film history with Mike. This week in film history with Mike.
In 1932, Sonia.
Oh, wait. No, like second or third intro for you tonight. There's no reverb voice or there's no like this week in sports history since this is a very sports.
The poor guy's not feeling so great. Could you just let him be?
Yeah, that's your baby's fault. No, that's Mike's fault for being a baby hog.
That's right.
See, if you had passed the baby around a little bit more often, the rest of us would be sick too.
Actually, Adrian had the baby longer than I did.
I didn't mind when you passed the baby. I did mind when you spiked the baby.
Well, I'm sorry. I got excited.
Hey, at least I didn't punt the baby. Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
1932, Sonia Hennie of Norway wins her second of 3 consecutive Olympic gold medals in women's figure skating at Lake Placid Winter Games. Beats Austria's Fritzi Berger into second place for the second straight games.
We all remember that 1932 games.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
Most exciting thing since the Helsinki incident in 1919.
yeah, no kidding.
For all the dodgeball fans out there, you'll get that reference to the Helsinki incident. Go ahead, Mike.
In 1987, 1982 Masters champion Craig Stadler is disqualified from Andy Williams Open for kneeling on a towel to make a shot.
I got really confused there for a second because you were like 1987, the 1982 Masters. I thought for a second it was like the Cthulhu Jack thing where it was like class of 1982 from 1984 or whatever. Or no, it was class of 1984 from 1982. What's the next one you got there, sir?
1989 WWF admits pro wrestling is an exhibition and not a sport in a New Jersey court to gain deregulation.
Yeah, a lot of this was around the time when they were doing the steroid trials and a lot of the other shit that they had going on. If you'd like to know more about that, there's a really good documentary on Netflix right now called Mr. McMahon. It is an 8-part. You watch it? What you think?
I thought it was good, but I did agree with what's his name? They'll only show one side of Vince.
Yeah, it was very one-sided.
Yeah.
It was a very one-sided document, especially towards the last couple episodes when those other allegations came out. The recent ones, like it got very like one-sided, especially towards the end there. But I still thought it was a pretty good documentary.
He's like, you don't talk about the parts where he put my wife in the best care for cancer. She only had 4 years to live. That was 24 years ago because of Vince.
Yeah, they didn't talk about too much of the human side of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think it was a pretty good documentary. And you do see a lot of this stuff about the 1989 trial in there. So, next one, sir.
Into 2006, Al Michaels joins NBC's Sunday Night Football broadcast with John Madden.
Michaels, sportscasting legend.
Yes.
Do you believe in miracles? Next one, sir.
In 2013, a ceremony in Philadelphia, the NFL pays tribute to the life of the late Steve Sabol and his many contributions to the league.
Steve Sabol, the founder of NFL Films. NFL Films, one of the greatest documentary companies in the world.
Just over the bridge for me.
I mean, I've been telling you, they're in Cherry Hill.
Now.
Yeah. So I was telling you like how I've been watching like highlights all week. Like I'm obsessed with highlights. Mm-hmm. You got to check out the Cooper DeJean pick 6 NFL Films highlight.
Okay.
With like the dun, 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 like music playing in the background. Fucking amazing. Speaking of the Eagles winning Super Bowls.
In 2018, the Philadelphia Eagles win Super Bowl 52, beating the New England Patriots 41-33.
I really hope we don't alienate and lose audience members to this episode. So we're laying it on a little thick right now.
In 2022, Super Bowl 56, halftime show features hip hop legends Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, and Mary J. Blige, Eminem, and 50 Cent.
Actually, one of the better halftime shows.
Yeah, that was one of the better halftime shows. Yeah,
yeah, because it kind of felt like
it was back in the. I felt like it was back in the 90s. You know.
Yeah, I felt like I was back in college again. That was like college time music.
I had my starter going.
Next one you got here, Mike.
Okay, in 2024, Super Bowl 58 is the most watched TV program in U.S. history, averaging 123.4 million viewers across television and streaming platforms. You probably haven't had the numbers for this year's yet, so.
Yeah, I would love to see the numbers for this year. A lot of people were saying it was the least exciting matchup because a lot of people wanted to see the Bills and the Lions, and I don't disagree with that. Like if the Eagles hadn't made it to the Super Bowl, I would love to have seen the Bills and Lions play again because that would have been an amazing Super Bowl. But the Chiefs Eagles repeat. I mean, I know we got good numbers in Philly and Jersey.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see those numbers. Speaking of the Super Bowl, what happened this week, Mike?
In 2025, the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl 59, beating the Kansas City Chiefs 22-40. which doesn't even tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah, that 22 is misleading because they didn't have they didn't have like a first down or something to like 3 minutes left in the third quarter or some shit like that. It was like,
First time I got across midfield.
yeah, they had 23 yards going into the second half, the Chiefs, and yeah, I know Hurts won the MVP, but it was a tale of the defense. I feel in that
When
game.
did they put ours? When did we put our second string quarterback in?
It was like probably like 5 or 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like really right after they scored .40, Kenny Pickett and some of the other backups came in. Yeah, they took out Saquon, they took out Hurts. To have your backups come in at the end of the Super Bowl says a lot about what was going on in that game. So,
and this was this week in film history.
we're doing closing segments now. Look at this. You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Do you have a must-try beer or craft destination for us this evening, sir?
I do. I have a craft destination in Maine. Probably, I think Kev's probably been here. Allagash Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
It's the Industrial Way, Portland. New England's original Belgian-style brewery was founded by Rob Todd in 1995. Since then, it has grown to become one of the largest craft breweries in the world. Book a tour online to ensure a spot. They're very popular. You can also stop by the tasting room and see what's on tap, or check out the website for a virtual visit. The spontaneously. Yeah, I can see that. No, spontaneously.
Spontaneity.
Spontaneously?
There you go.
Spontaneously. Okay.
Fermented cool ship beers are exceptionally good, as are the barrel-aged beers. There you go, boys. Allagash. Like Allagash.
Allagash White is a good go-to if you're looking at what's on draft and
Yeah, I like
they
Allagash
don't
White.
have much to go to. If they have Allagash White, that's a good go-to.
Yep.
Megan and I went up to Maine for a vacation. We did a little camping. We did a little time in Portland. And yeah, that was during the COVID time. So we really wanted to do the brewery tour, but it was like, oh, well, we already have 2.5 people in there right now. You're going to have to wait. And it's like, it's okay. They had a lot of tent space set up, and we did flights like we tend to do. And it was a good time. I'd definitely go back if I was going up to Maine again.
Back then, they let people into the tasting room based on like total weight.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if I was there, I'd only be allowed to go in by myself. Righty, yeah, I like Allagash White's one of my go-tos back in the day. I haven't had that in a while. I really like that one. All right, next segment.
Kevin's here, he's here for beer. He's got news, it's beer and news with Kevin.
Kevin! Sad news, my friend. Sad news indeed. A semi overturns on Route I-75 in Florida, spilling a large volume of beer. Thus saith the Florida Highway Patrol. A semi truck carrying a large amount of beer overturned into the median on I-75 southbound Thursday morning. Troopers are dispatched to the overturned truck at mile marker 236 in Ruskin around 2:43 a.m. According to the Florida Highway Patrol, a tractor trailer driven by a 53-year-old Doral man was traveling southbound on I-75 when the truck exited the highway to enter a rest area. The driver failed to make the curve and the truck left the roadway before overturning and spilling a large volume of beer along the shoulder. The video and images show a large amount of Busch Light and Budweiser spilled into the median. Officials at the scene estimate over 44,000 pounds of beer having to have been cleaned up.
It's not too bad. It was Budweiser, so
It was Budweiser, so I mean, it's not like it's going to stick. It's
Yeah,
more
like
like water.
it said 44-pound, whatever it was of beer, but it's like when you take the water weight out.
you take the Clydesdale kits out of it, and then there's nothing left.
All right. In other news, Hulk Hogan and Real American Beer are being sued. America. Hulk Hogan and his Real American Beer Company, of which WWE is a part owner, are being sued. Fox 8 has reported that Michelle Harlukowitz from Akron, Ohio, filed a lawsuit against Hogan, Real American Beer, and the Thirsty Cowboys on February 10th over an injury she suffered at a Real American Beer promotional event on August 19th, 2024. The Real American Beer event was held at the Thirsty Cowboy in Medina, Ohio, and Harlukowitz has alleged negligence causing injury after a sealed beer can was thrown 50 feet and hit her in the forehead. Photos of a can-shaped wound on Harlukowitz's forehead were included in the lawsuit, and Harlukowitz required close to 10 stitches following the incident. The lawsuit alleges that Hulk Hogan, whose real name is Terry Bollea,
Yes, Terry
and
Bollea.
other promoters for Real American Beer were riling up the crowd by throwing free cans into the crowd, and one of them threw the beer can in which struck Harlukowitz. The alleged victim, who was standing near the back wall when the beer hit her, has claimed that she never saw the beer can coming toward her and she didn't have a chance to avoid it. She had an
How much
open
beer
wound.
did she have before that happened? Then?
Excuse me. She had an open wound to her forehead. It was pretty big. She ended up needing a number of stitches to her head, and she's going to have some permanent scarring from that. Harlukowitz's attorney, Eric Tafel, said. Medina Township police responded to the incident after it happened, but no charges were filed as officers could not determine who threw the beer. Within the lawsuit, Harlukowitz is seeking damages for medical expenses, pain and suffering, and emotional distress. She'll never go near another tin can again. WWE became part owner of Real American Beer earlier this year, and the company's logo was displayed on the Monday Night Raw ring mat. Hogan appeared on the Raw Netflix premiere to promote the beer and was roundly booed inside the Intuit Dome, something Hogan has claimed he expected.
The booing was unrelated to the beer. That had more to do with some personal issues and things that he had said publicly.
I don't know. I think a lot of those people were fans of Michelle Harlukowitz.
At the same time, whose idea was it to throw full cans of beer into a crowd?
Well,
People that had already been pre-gaming.
Didn't they do that in the last Eagles parade?
Yes, and they're going to do it at tomorrow's Eagles parade.
Yeah, but nobody's going to sue the Eagles.
Yeah, no one's going to sue the Eagles, and people are going to be expecting.
You watch. There'll be a Cowboys fan out there somewhere.
Well, that Cowboy fan's already going to get his ass kicked. It's not even have to worry about the beer can. Speaking of the Eagles.
Speaking of our Eagles, Saquon Barkley gifts each of his linemen a truck full of beer.
What a guy.
He ran for 2,000 yards, so his teammates get 2,000 beers. We have seen how great a running back Saquon Barkley is after having one of the most prolific seasons in league history and helping his team to the Super Bowl championship. This week, he is also cementing himself as one of the all-time great teammates, at least in the eyes of the big men who block for him. He gifted the offensive linemen each a tricked-out golf cart for Christmas. I remember seeing that on the news.
Yeah.
In return for paving the way for his 2,000-plus yard season. Earlier this week, Barkley and teammate Jalen Hurts were invited to The Tonight Show. The Eagles' offensive line made a surprise appearance, even shotgunning a beer with Barkley and host Jimmy Fallon. But why stop at sharing just one beer with his teammates? Today, Barkley awarded each of his offensive linemen a beer truck full of Bud Light. Oh, that's a shame. Bud Light is
official beer of the Philadelphia Eagles.
A pallet of Bud Light loaded with 90 cases of Bud Light, with each case holding 24 cans. That's 2,160 cans, or nearly one for every yard Barkley gained in the regular season. So off of that, you could probably get drunk maybe 4 times. The many beverages
Malata is?
quite a
I
while
doubt
to the many beverages will take quite a while to polish off, even if you shotgunned a few, which we saw Saquon doing in the locker room after. Just another reason to raise a toast to our favorite running back and the men up front that helped him shine. And that gentleman is our beer news.
Beer news. I saw the Jimmy Fallon interview with Hurts and Barkley.
Mhm.
And at one point, Fallon goes, so let's talk about the tush push. Do you guys like that it's called the tush push around the league? And Hurts was like, no, I'm not a big fan of the name. And Fallon goes, so is it the brotherly shove then? And Hurts goes, that's what a lot of people call it. He goes, I can't tell you what we call the play because, it's a playbook thing. Like they can't give away the name. So
Right.
Fallon's like, oh, okay. So you can't tell us what it's called. He goes, no, I can't tell you what it's called. And he goes, well, Saquon, what do you think of the tush push, in quotes? And Saquon goes, I have the easiest job in the tush push play. And he goes, what's that? He goes, I'm the one who pushes the tush.
And that was beer news is good news with Kevin.
All right. We are back here for our main segment tonight. Again, very niche episode because our main segment is all about representations of the Philadelphia Eagles in film and TV because the Eagles just won Super Bowl 59.
Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, throw a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory.
That's right. EAGLES, Eagles. So tonight we're looking at some movies that have the Eagles as sort of their theme. It's a shorter list. It's not like one of our normal movie episodes where, I go crazy and there's 27 films on the list. It was kind of easy to narrow this one down. So we have a few actual movies. We have a couple documentary series on here, a few little bonus episode things, and we're just going to generally discuss them a little bit. So the first one we have on the list is probably the most obvious one, the one that I think most people would think of when they think of a Philadelphia Eagles movie. That is Invincible from 2006. This is the biopic movie on the career of Vince Papale. It's an unlikely underdog story starring Mark Wahlberg as the titular character. And, it's a story that's well known in Philadelphia. I don't think many people knew the story until the movie came out. But there was a time when the Eagles in the 70s were not a great team. They bring in this maverick coach named Dick Vermeil, who decides to have an open practice for anybody who wants to try out for the Eagles. And one person makes the team from that open practice, and his name was Vince Papale. And it's kind of an underdog story in the vein of things like Rudy or Miracle or movies like that. So that's my first question. How do you think this movie kind of compares to those other underdog stories?
I see it as very similar to Rocky in a way. It's a promotional thing, right? I mean, that's essentially why they do it. And there's a diamond in the rough, which ends up being, Vince Papanelli, Papadoobie.
Vince Papale.
That's what I said. Papale. It's okay,
I mean, like with any like Hollywood biopic, they take liberties with the actual events.
So you're saying that they didn't play football in a park with a bunch of headlights on?
I'm sure they did that.
So the thing that stands out to most of me in this, as somebody who's been a lifelong Eagles fan, is there's one part where they're in the bar that he worked at prior to becoming the football player, and they start doing the Eagles chant, the EAGLES Eagles. And this film takes place sometime in the late 70s, and the EAGLES Eagles chant wasn't started until the 80s. So it was something that wouldn't have existed at the time that this story was happening, but you know, you got to throw a little fan service in there for the Philadelphia fans.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit. So is the Vince Papale portrayal by Mark Wahlberg sort of accurate, or would you call it like a Hollywood, you know, Hollywood version of the story?
Well, here's a good question. Was it Mark Wahlberg being Mark Wahlberg, or was it Mark Wahlberg being Vince Papapalalabi? Papinelli? Papaldi?
For me, it was kind of Mark Wahlberg being the guy that talks to animals. Hey, goat, how's your mother?
Hey, Emil,
So
give me a chance.
yeah, like he's a Boston guy playing a Philadelphia, you know, and you can kind of hear the Boston guy a little bit. Yeah, I play for the Philadelphia Eagles. You got a problem with that?
So who do you cast instead that's not a Boston guy?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, how about Bradley Cooper?
He's
a
just
Philadelphia
thinking
guy.
Bradley Cooper. Yeah, yeah.
Bradley Cooper's a Philadelphia guy, and he wasn't like the megastar yet that he is now. This is probably right around the time The Hangover came out, so it would have been like in his wheelhouse that time, you know, at that point. So yeah, maybe Bradley Cooper probably would have fit the role. I did like Greg Kinnear as Dick Vermeil. I thought he was a pretty good pick for that role. Yeah. You got Elizabeth Banks in this film. I always love seeing Elizabeth Banks in a movie. The rest of the cast is like a who's who of like character actors who have been in like here and there things. So the film is basically hanging on Mark Wahlberg, Greg Kinnear, and Elizabeth Banks' performances. I know it did well in Philadelphia, you know, as a lot of Philadelphia movies do. I don't know if it was like a major box office hit. I'm looking at the box office now. Let's see. It was $40 million budget. Jesus. $40 million budget. It made $58 million gross. So, I mean, it made its money back.
They had to pay all those South Philly unions.
Yeah, right. I mean, it kind of made its money back and a little bit more over that, but not like a super hit. I went to the theater to see it. You know, I thought it was okay. It was very much in the vein of like a Rudy film where, you know, it's based on real events, but not quite based on real events. You know, a little bit of embellishment there. And I like the connection you made, Kev, to Rocky. Like, I didn't even think of that this was kind of a promotional thing. Like Rocky's first fight with Apollo Creed was a promotional thing. And you know, and that's another Philadelphia movie, so it kind of falls into that mold. With all these films, I have like one underlying question here that I think ties them all together. Does this film, like many of the other films on this list, capture the blue-collar spirit of the Philadelphia fan? In your opinion?
I think it does.
Yeah, I would say it does.
I feel like this is every blue-collar fan's fantasy. Like, oh, if I could only play for the Eagles, or if I had a shot, if I was like Uncle Rico and Napoleon Dynamite. Man, when I was younger, I could have threw that ball a quarter mile. That brings me to I don't have trailers tonight, but I do have pictures. So here is a picture of the promotional photo for Invincible with Mark Wahlberg. You got him in the Eagles uniform. It's a Walt Disney picture, of course.
Of course.
Inspired by the true story. Inspired is a fancy way of saying it's not quite true, but we got enough of it right.
A mostly fabricated true story.
Mostly fabricated true story of a 30-year-old bartender about to become the NFL's most unlikely rookie. And then you even have that little like movie moment shot at the bottom of the poster where he's running down Broad Street, and it's like kind of like emblematic of the Rocky scene where he's running through the Italian market. We don't have a Boston market in Philly unless you're talking about the fast food chain. The next one I have on the list here is Silver Linings Playbook. Where is my picture of that? I thought I had a picture of that. I guess I don't. I did have a picture of that. I don't know what the hell happened to it. Anyway, Silver Linings Playbook.
Love this
Starring,
movie.
I do. I like this movie a lot. And you got to say, like, hey, it stars Bradley Cooper, who we already just mentioned, as somebody who would have been good for the Vince Papali role. This is Jennifer Lawrence in an Oscar-winning performance. And Bobby De Niro, a New Yorker born and raised, playing an Eagles fan. I like this movie a lot.
I liked it, but going into it thinking it was more of a football film than it was.
It's more about a guy suffering from bipolar disorder.
Yes.
Exactly.
And a girl who gets him.
Who also has bipolar disorder. It's a movie about mental illness, really.
And then
the
they
movie,
go dancing.
yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like the movie is supposed to be balancing mental health struggles with sports fandom, but it almost makes the sports fans, especially Eagles fans, seem like they're all mentally unstable as well.
Oh. Do you remember the 700
Here's
level?
the movie poster. I found it. Here's the movie poster, Silver Linings Playbook. This is the movie that made me like kind of have a crush on Jennifer Lawrence afterwards. I don't know. I guess I like crazy chicks. What were you gonna say, Mike?
Well, I said, you would say about Eagles fans being crazy. I'm like, do you remember the 700 level?
Yeah, I used to go to the 700 level all the time.
Yeah.
It was cheap. They were cheap tickets, man. You can get a ticket in the 700 level, like any game you want it, man. I've seen a lot of fights in the 700 level.
They're nuts up there. Yeah.
I used to work in one of the beer stands in the 700 level when I worked there for the Phillies '93 World Series run. I worked there. Crazy place, man. That's Veteran Stadium for those of you not in the know.
I was talking to a friend of the show, Pat, earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the show, and I think he said that Jerry Maguire should be a mention on here because it shows the vet.
Yeah, it shows the vet. I mean, you kind of get like it could be like an honorary mention because it doesn't focus on that. I mean, the team it focuses on in that is the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. Was an East rival.
Yeah.
For many
but like you said, Mike, you went into it thinking it would be more of a football movie, but even though it's not a football movie per se, it does
capture Philadelphia fans really.
Oh
well.
yeah, it does. Oh yeah,
tailgating scene, the father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Robert De Niro had as good of a part as the two leads. You know,
I like his little quirks and like OCD moments in there because like it's like he has to have the remote in a certain spot. He has to wear the same jersey. He's got to be in his chair. You know, the son's got to be there. It's all like the different things for like bringing luck to the team. Yeah. And the Eagles do play a key part in the plot because it all comes down to that game against the Dallas Cowboys that they had on Monday night. Yeah, so it's like but the game was like it was a real game. It was a game that they needed the Eagles to win in order to win the bet to get the dad's money back from the guy and it was like so the Eagles do play a key role in the film. Plus Bradley Cooper wears a Deshaun Jackson jersey throughout it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think I agree that it captures the spirit, even if it's not solely about the Eagles themselves or football itself.
Right.
What do you think of the chemistry between Cooper and Lawrence?
Oh, I thought it was a great chemistry.
I think it was a great chemistry. It started a Cooper Lawrence connection because following this there was Joy, there was American Hustle?
American Hustle, yeah, that's a good movie.
Hustle. You know, I think that their connection just kind of carried over. They're like, yeah, we can do this. We can do another movie. We can do, you know.
Well, that's a director connection too, because David O. Russell directed all three of those films, and Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper became kind of part of his troupe of people that we bring into his movies. If the film were set in another sports city, do you think it would have worked as well?
It would have to have been another rabid fan base, maybe like Cleveland.
Patriots.
No, they're not as rabid. I mean, people like Cleveland or
Cleveland
Raiders.
would probably be good. The Raiders would definitely be, back when they were the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah,
What city are they in now?
They are Las Vegas.
Vegas.
The Vegas Raiders.
That's just this week. They'll move on.
You know
They
what?
would move like
Yeah. Jets and Giants fans probably too would probably be a good fan base for that.
Yeah,
But I think something about how crazy
gentlemen,
Eagles fans can be.
if Saquon ends up going to Philadelphia, I'm gonna have trouble sleeping.
I should have queued that video up for this episode. Of the owner of the legend has it the owner of the Giants still hasn't had a good night's sleep. Oh, that poor man. I actually feel bad for him. I actually feel bad for him that his GM was such a fucking idiot.
especially after the GM says like, take Jalen Daniels.
Like that. You should trade up and get Jaden Daniels. And he's like, no, we're good with Daniel Jones, who we will cut 8 games into the season after paying him $160 million. That man's the highest paid practice squad player in the league right now. Moving on to the next one. Oh my God, Mike, did you watch this? I know you said you were going to try to.
No, it got taken off.
Yeah,
I on there. No, it was nowhere.
I got it on the the wink wink nudge nudge app. And
know what I mean?
you know what I mean. Let me tell you something, Mike. This was a hard watch, man. This was only like an hour and 30-minute movie. I made about 20 minutes into it, and I turned it off and put on Raiders of the Lost Ark. I needed to watch.
I had to
good.
cleanse.
I had to cleanse my palate
watching Nazis get their faces burned off.
Yeah, like another podcast was talking about Raiders this week, and I was like, "Oh, I really got to watch that again." And then I started watching the garbage picking, finger licking, whatever the fuck the movie's called, and
garbage picking, field goal kicking, Philadelphia phenomenon.
Yeah, so I started watching it. I got about 20 minutes in, and I'm like, I can't do this shit. There's also a TV movie, which almost always doesn't come out as something really pretty good. So yeah, the garbage picking, field goal kicking Philadelphia phenomenon. A Philadelphia garbage man who develops his leg muscles from kicking the hydraulic lever on his garbage truck. That is literally how the movie starts.
Please share with our audience who plays this garbage.
So the garbage picking, field goal kicking Philadelphia phenomenon, whose name in the film is Barney Gorman, is played by Philadelphia legend himself, Tony Danza.
At least they got a Philadelphia to do it.
Well, here's the thing. I think this is probably one of those things where like Disney approached Tony Danza and they were like, "Hey, we have this idea for a movie about a garbage man who becomes an NFL kicker because his leg muscles are really strong." Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, "Hey, I'm from Philadelphia. Can it be the Eagles?"
They went.
We saw you play a housemaid on.
We saw you play a Who's the Boss, and we saw you try to be a teacher at Lincoln High.
Northeast, don't taint
Northeast. Lincoln. I'm sorry, which was actually well after this movie came out because this is 1998. The movie has a 5.1 on IMDb. That's pretty fucking high. So this guy is a garbage man who the lever on his truck doesn't work well, so he's constantly kicking it to make it work. And from kicking this hydraulic lever all the time, he builds up the muscles in his leg. And at the garbage dump one day, he kicks a can like clear across the garbage yard for like 50 yards or something. And a group of Philadelphia Eagle executives just happened to see this happen.
They're in the car.
Meal.
Yeah, and they decide to sign him right then and there because the team not only needs a kicker but needs some media attention. Oh my God. And then that's kind of where I stopped watching it.
This is kind of a mix of Miracle meets The Rookie. Wasn't it?
Miracle meets The Rookie meets...
not Miracle, I'm sorry. Invincible meets The Rookie.
Invincible meets The Rookie meets Tommy Wiseau. Yeah. It's like this is... This was a tough
Lisa, you're
watch.
tearing me apart.
Oh, hi, Mark. It's arguably the most absurd film on the list. It's so you know what movies it kind of reminds me of, which are not great but better. It would be like Rookie of the Year, where the kid has the operation and all of a sudden he can throw a 100-mile-an-hour
Isn't that what I
fastball.
was talking about? No, I
Upside,
talked about the Rookie. Okay.
You're talking about the Rookie, but which is also kind of similar because it's about like a 35-year-old guy who becomes a baseball player. The Rookie of the Year is the kid from American Pie.
That's what I was
Becomes a pitcher for the Cubs, and then there's Little Big League where where kid becomes the owner of the Minnesota Twins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of Disney movies that you're talking about. I think
it's a lot of Disney movies, but they're like just as absurd, but for some reason better. Like I like Little Big League. That's one of my favorite like guilty pleasure movies. But this movie, man, this was rough. This was like that Disney, Sunday night movie era where they were just like pumping shit out. Not necessarily real good. Tony Danza as a garbage man turned NFL kicker. So yeah, that's one of the questions I have here is how does this compare to other Disney sports comedies? Not good. Now listen, I've watched a lot of bad movies.
Yes, you have.
And I have watched a lot of bad movies from beginning to end. So for me to turn this movie off 20 minutes into it, I really had to not be enjoying myself.
I don't think you gave it a fair shake.
I gave it a fair 20 minutes is a pretty fair shake, man. I could have been watching another episode of MASH that 20 minutes, but no, I watched the garbage picking, finger licking, feather plucking, motherfucking kicker guy instead with Tony Danza, with the guy from Taxi. So from fiction back to fact, the next one I have on here is an Amazon documentary from 2023 called Kelsey, which focuses mainly on Jason Kelsey and his status as a beloved figure and legend in Philadelphia. Again, like the Mr. McMahon documentary, this is very one-sided, but one-sided in a good way.
Right.
Because we all love Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
And as proof of our love of Jason Kelsey, all three of us, without planning it, wore our Jason Kelsey jerseys for the game this
Kind of
Sunday.
like those things where the wives always get the guys the same shirt and all meet up together and they realize that they're wearing the same shirt. Just take the wives out of it. They didn't have anything to do with this.
It's like the thing where, like, when a woman shows up to a party and another woman has the same outfit on, or they don't talk to each other all night because they're mad. The guys walk in, they see each other wearing the same outfit, and they're excited. We did that. We all walked into the room. We had the Kelsey jerseys on, and I'm like, yeah, Kelsey. Because, as I pointed out, it's the jersey for big men. So, yeah, this is a really good documentary. I mean, I'm saying that also because I'm partial to Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
But as far as like Amazon Prime documentaries go,
you know what this documentary did for me? It made me appreciate his wife. I think.
Yeah.
As much as I appreciate him.
You mean the Queen of Philadelphia?
Huh?
You mean the Queen of
Philadelphia?
Yeah. And just added respect to her, knowing what her stance was on him being here in the city and what he was doing.
Somebody asked her, now that your husband's retired and his brother's playing in the Super Bowl, are you going to root for the Chiefs? And she was like, no. She's like, I only wear one color and it's green. That's Kylie Kelsey's wife. Yeah. So it's a hour and 43-minute long documentary, so fairly short by like documentary standards. And it highlights the 2022-2023 season, which started with him having to make one of the hardest decisions of his professional career, which is it time to retire yet? Or would he like to try to pump out one more season? And as we all know, at this point now, he's retired.
Do you think you regretted not being on the field this time?
Hearing him talk, he doesn't miss the
Tush push.
the tush push at all. No, but he also doesn't miss how he felt on Monday mornings. A lot of football players talk about that. Like the next day after the game, when the adrenaline wears off, it's a rough day. And he said he doesn't miss that anymore. Plus, he has other things going on now. He has his late night talk show now. He gets to spend more time with his family, and he has a Super Bowl ring, so it's not like he missed out on winning one himself.
No,
He was
I
part
know
of
that. It's just the last time. It was the last time, right? It was.
Mhm.
He didn't. Yeah, it was the last time. It was the Kansas City.
Yeah,
So
it was the one they lost. Yeah,
yeah, I don't
but
know.
When we got screwed on by a call, yeah.
yeah.
Whoa! Are you saying the refs got something wrong, Mike?
You had to hear, oh man,
Even
you had to
listen
hear,
to yourself.
you had to hear some of the KC fans complaining about the referees.
I have.
I was like, really? You're gonna complain about the referees?
No. His wife is complaining about the referees.
Yeah. The one thing that this documentary showed me too, and it's from other things I've seen him in, is that Kelsey has a really good personality for something outside of football too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Like we know from his podcast, his late night appearances, his sports radio appearances, that the man knows how to speak in public. We all know that from his mummers wearing Super Bowl parade speech. Nobody likes us. We don't care. Hungry dogs run faster. That sort of stuff.
That was his contribution to our menage of audio clips, right?
Oh yeah. He is. That is the speech that cemented him as a man that'll never have to buy a drink again in Philadelphia.
Nope.
No.
That, and when Mike and I saw him come out at WrestleMania wearing a luchador mask with the Eagles logo on it.
him and Lane.
Him and Lane Johnson, yeah. Fun moment. The last one I have on here, as far as major films go, is another documentary from Amazon Prime called All or Nothing, Philadelphia Eagles. So the All or Nothing was a series of documentaries that Amazon had done. And each season they pick a different team. This one was the 2020 Philadelphia Eagles season, which was a tumultuous season because it was the last year for Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So it was not a good season. This is during the height of the pandemic, and it was his last season. It was the season before Jalen Hurts became the starter for the team. A lot of it was just a rough year, and so this documentary highlights a lot of that.
Oh man, I had no love for Wentz. He did not impress me. Everybody, people named children after him, for God's sakes. I have no, he didn't play long enough to wow me.
So I was like a fan of his at first because I thought he was a pretty exciting player at the beginning. And then the year they won the Super Bowl, even though Foles was the MVP and won the game for them, I bought a Wentz jersey because, Wentz was the one that kind of got them to where they were as the number one seed that year before getting hurt. And I thought he was going to come out and have a really good season after that. And then, just kind of all went downhill from there after that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see what would have happened if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, I think I would if they had won the Super Bowl with him that year, it might have been a different outcome.
But following him leaving Philadelphia, he never impressed. He went to teams and still didn't impress me.
I think what happened is once he got hurt and got replaced and his backup won the Super Bowl, quarterbacks' minds are very fragile.
Mm.
Yeah, and you have to think about this too. His backup won the Super Bowl, and then a few months later, they put a statue outside the stadium of his backup, calling the Philly play with the head coach.
Yeah,
that's got to be demoralizing.
And now he didn't watch his second backup win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite memes of the week. Was or wasn't a meme? Was the tweet from Nick Foles. He must be good luck.
No. That's Brady's. He was.
It's Brady. He said Tom Brady. Yeah, I thought it was. I forgot. Yeah, it was Tom Brady's good luck for the Eagles. But at the same time, yeah, like Carson Wentz watched his backup win the Super Bowl in 2017, and then watched his replacement win the Super Bowl this year. So yeah, you gotta be a little demoralizing. You know what's funny about this documentary, this All or Nothing thing? At the game this past Sunday, John Hamm came out and did like the big speech to rally up the KC fans at the beginning. He's the narrator. He's the narrator of this documentary about the Eagles.
Oh, geez.
Should have been Bradley Cooper, man. Come on. So Kevin Hart, yeah.
God.
So I have two little bonus entries here. The first bonus entry is from Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, where at the end of the film, at the Super Bowl, it's the Eagles versus the Miami Dolphins in the Super Bowl at the end of the game, at the end of the movie. And in this one scene, he gets into a fight with Swoop, the Eagles mascot. So what I have here is a little clip of that.
That was Swoop.
That was the old version of Swoop.
Oh man! Thank God they.
That was right
on
before they switched to the new uniforms because they still got the old Kelly Greens in that. That's a testament to how old that movie is. That Dan Marino is still the quarterback of the Dolphins, and the Eagles are in the Super Bowl because at the time it was the Buddy Ryan defense Eagles, so it would have been like one of the better teams.
Not one of the better movies, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just threw that in there because I thought it was funny, you know, little connection to the Eagles there. And then as a double bonus entry tonight, another really good documentary, if you get a chance to watch it, is the 2005 making of the Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader lingerie calendar. Obviously,
there's a lot of interesting articles being talked about, right? You know.
Really? I haven't really looked at any articles. I was just reading about the calendar. There's not a lot of words in the calendar, not a lot of reading to do.
There's numbers and
there's numbers and other things. So for entertainment value, I have a real quick video clip for you guys.
Very nice to meet you. I'd like to know about sex change operation.
I see. Men to woman, a woman to men.
Man.
Some penis to vagina. I laid the trap. Here, let me give you guys a reward for having to deal with that. There you go. From penis to vagina. And then we don't normally talk about TV shows on here, but we got to throw a couple references in there because shows like the Goldbergs always talk about Philadelphia because the show takes place in Philly. The older brother in the show is always wearing Philly jerseys, especially the Eagles and Flyers and such. So very Philadelphia based. You have Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which has a few Eagles related episodes, like the gang wins the big game and the gang gets invincible. There's even an episode where they get an inspiring speech from a Donovan McNabb impersonator. And then I forgot one here that I figured I'd throw in. It's the Anger Management, which is the film with Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson. Adam Sandler goes through anger management, what like the the group therapy sessions.
Lessons, the sessions.
Yeah, and one of his patients at these therapy sessions is an Eagles fan whose anger stems from the Eagles. So he's always like angry about things going on in the Eagles' life.
Sounds like your buddy Matt.
Yeah, like my buddy Matt. I had to talk him off the ledge after the first play of the game. And then there's a Star Wars connection here. David Accord, who is the sound designer who works on a ton of different films, is a big Eagles fan. And in The Force Awakens, he sneaks in references to former tight end Brent Selleck and former D lineman Fletcher Cox, who's designing it when he was designing the alien languages used by the characters. So it's a character that catches BB-8 in the net. Part of his alien language includes the words like Selleck and Cox in the language. So he threw that one in there. And in Rogue One, same guy, David Accord, sound designer, translated the Eagles' fight song into Esperanto, the universal language conceived of in the 1800s, and called it an alien prayer. It's "Hit 'em High, Hit 'em Low" in Esperanto, being sung somewhere in the background as Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor are scouring Jeddah looking for Saul Guerrera. So a little Eagles Star Wars connection there for you.
Alrighty then.
And that's all I have about that. You guys have anything else you want to say about any of the films we spoke about tonight, or anything I'm missing?
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Go Birds. I should have did like the Saturday Night Live skits where they do like the Go Birds stuff, or like the Murder Dirter. Make fun of the Philly accent. Mike, you have any beer trivia or history for us this evening?
I do. Some beer styles fall so far out of favor they go extinct. Wit beer or white beer almost did. It was popular in the 18th century Europe and made use of wheat, oats, and barley from the farmlands of eastern Belgium, as well as spices such as orange peel and coriander, which merchant vessels brought to Brussels. The style was revived in the 1990s thanks to the craft brewing movement in general and brewer Pierre Celeste in particular. It has since risen in popularity to its former prominence. I like a good wit. I got a good wit beer.
Yes. And we have a cinema quote of the week.
Go Birds. Eagles fans.
From Eagles fans everywhere. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Again, thank you everybody for joining us tonight for episode 183 EAGLES Eagles, the Eagles Super Bowl victory movie connection episode. Sorry for being so niche tonight. We really just felt like we needed to celebrate as three Eagles fans. We hope this doesn't drive you away from the podcast and you decide to join us again next time around for episode 184. We're going to be looking at the year in film history for 1985. There are a lot of movies turning 40 years old this year, so we figured a good way to do that is just kind of look at the year in general. So we hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Don't forget, you can drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media podcast links. You can now watch us on the Pod Nation Media Network on Roku, or you can join us on patreon.com/filmsandfermentation to find some members-only content. Again, we're looking to do a little bit of a mailbag episode in the near future, so send us your email, send us your tweets, send us your comments on Instagram or what have you, or text us at 904-867-4466. And join us next time around at the crossroads between Pickled and Fermented for episode 184, This Year in Film History, 1985. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
This has been the Films and Fermentation podcast. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles.
A-G-E-G-L-Y.
Eagles. Cheers, everybody.